If you're wondering how you can create an embroidered or a stitch effect in Illustrator, then you're in the right place. Hi there everyone, my name is Andrei Marius. I've been working in Illustrator for over 10 years, and in this Envato Tuts Plus tutorial, I'll put my experience to use as I show you step by step how you can create an embroidered and a stitch effect using Adobe Illustrator. This tutorial was originally posted by Kate McInnes on the Tuts Plus website, so check out the link in the description if you prefer to follow the written version. To complete this tutorial, you need this pen tool icon, which you can get from Envato Elements, so make sure to check out Envato Elements, where with a simple subscription you can get unlimited access to millions of creative digital assets such as music, graphics, photos, fonts, and many more. You can subscribe right now with the link in the description. Let's move to Illustrator to create a new document. Select pixels from this drop-down menu. Set the width and the height to 850 pixels. Make sure that the color mode is set to RGB and the resolution to 72 pixels per inch. And then you can click this button to create your new document. Now go to Window in the menu bar, and first of all make sure that the control panel is active, and then open all the panels that have this check mark. Once you're done, go to View and Show Grid to enable the grid. Go again to View, but this time enable the Snap to Grid feature. And for this tutorial you need a grid line every 1 pixel, so let's go to Edit, Preferences, Guides and Grid. Just enter 1 in this grid line every box. Click OK to make the changes. And for the beginning, let's select the rectangle tool from your toolbar and use it to create a 4 by 1 pixels shape. Click OK to create this new shape. Let's press Ctrl and plus several times to zoom in on this new shape. Focus on the appearance panel, select the stroke and remove the color. Select the fill and let's replace it with a yellow, and then switch to the selection tool. Hold down the Alt key and drag a copy of this rectangle to the right. Let's change the color of this copy to blue. Reselect your yellow shape and drag a new copy in this position. Then select these two shapes and drag copies in this position. Again, a copy in this location and one more copy like this. Now select just this shape and drag a copy to the right in this position. Once you're done, hold down the Shift key to select all your yellow shapes. Move to the gradient panel to replace this yellow fill with a linear gradient. Set the angle to 0 degrees and then focus on the gradient sliders to edit your gradient. You can start with this gradient slider, so double click it, change the color mode to RGB and replace the color with 147, 123 and 99. Move to this other gradient slider and again change the color mode to RGB and then replace the color with 108, 90 and 76. Now click on the gradient bar to add a new gradient slider. Keep it selected and set the location to 55 and then replace the color with 225, 186 and 145. Click anywhere outside your selection to deselect your shapes. Again, hold down the Shift key to select all your blue shapes. Get back to the gradient panel and apply a linear gradient, and then focus on the gradient bar to edit this applied gradient. You can start again with this right gradient slider, double click it and replace the color with 78, 66 and 54. Move to the next one and replace the color with 131, 107 and 83. And for this one, let's enter 71, 61 and 52. Now you can deselect these shapes, reselect the rectangle tool and use it to create an 8 by 4 pixels shape. Make sure that you are placing it exactly like this. Move to the appearance panel and remove the fill color. Then go to the layers panel and drag this rectangle in the bottom of the layers panel below all your other shapes. And then use the selection tool to select all of these shapes and simply drag them inside the swatches panel to save them as a pattern. Now that you've got your pattern, you can deselect these shapes. Press Ctrl and 0 to zoom back on your entire artboard. Switch to the ellipse tool and use it to create a 140 pixel circle. Focus on the control panel and make sure that the alignment is set to artboard. And then just click these two buttons to easily center your circle. You can press Ctrl and plus a few times to zoom in on this new shape. And then focus on the appearance panel to stylize your shape. Start by selecting the stroke. Set the color to 247, 148 and 30. Increase the stroke weight to 3 points. Check the round cap and round join buttons. And then go to Effect, Distort and Transform and Zigzag. First of all, make sure that you have these two boxes checked. And then set the size to 6 pixels and the number of ridges per segment to 100. Click OK to apply this effect, and then go to Effect, Distort and Transform and Transform. Increase both scale values to 103%. For the movement, enter 1.4 for horizontal and vertical, and then you can click OK to apply the second effect. Make sure that your stroke is still selected, and let's duplicate it using this button. Replace the color of this new stroke with 251, 176 and 64. Open the transform effect that's already applied for this stroke and let's lower the scale values to 100%. Click OK to apply these changes. Reselect the stop stroke and again let's duplicate it using this button. For this new stroke, you need to change the color to 251, 220 and 111. Decrease the stroke weight to 0.25 and then open the zigzag effect that's already applied. All you have to do is decrease the size to 3 pixels. Click OK to make this change. Reselect this stroke and duplicate it. Increase the weight of this new stroke to 0.75. Replace the color with 255, 227 and 149. Open the zigzag effect and increase the size back to 6 pixels. Click OK and then reselect this stroke to duplicate it again using this button. Open this new stroke. First of all, delete this transform effect. Replace the color with 186, 111 and 24. Increase the weight to 1 point and then open this zigzag effect and decrease the size to 3 pixels. Click OK to apply this change. Reselect your stroke and go to Effect, Distort and Transform to apply a new transform effect. Again, lower both scale values to 95%. For the movement, enter 0.7 for horizontal and vertical. Click OK to apply this change and let's select the fill. First of all, apply your pattern and then go to Effect, Distort and Transform and Transform. Keep these values as they are, just uncheck this box and then you can play with the angle to rotate your pattern as you wish. Let's set it to -20 degrees. Click OK to make this change and then go to Effect, Stylize and Drop Shadow to add a subtle drop shadow effect. Change the blending mode to multiply, lower the opacity to 75%, set both offset values to 7 pixels and for the blur enter 5 pixels. Make sure that the shadow color is set to black And then you can click OK to apply this shadow effect. By the way, you can disable the grid if it bothers you. And then you need to return to the appearance panel to add a second fill for your shape using this button. Replace this pattern with a flat color. Let's make it 198, 156, and 109. Lower the opacity of this new fill to 65%, and then select your top stroke from the appearance panel to add a new one on top of it using this button. Change its color to 253, 245, and 198. Go to Effect, Path and Offset Path. Set the offset to -10 pixels and click OK to apply this effect. Reselect this top stroke and go again to Effect, Distort and Transform and Transform. Let's use these move settings to move your selected stroke 2 pixels down and 1 pixel to the right. Click OK to make this change and then open the stroke flyout panel. First of all, make sure that you have the round cap and round join buttons selected. Check this dash line box and enter 6 points in all of these boxes. And then you need to go to Effect, Stylize and Drop Shadow to apply a solid drop shadow effect for your dashed line. Change the blending mode to normal, increase the opacity to 100%, set both of these offset values to 0 pixels, lower the blur to 1 pixel, keep the color of the shadow set to black, and then click OK to apply this shadow effect. Reselect this stroke and let's duplicate it using the same button. Now open the transform effect that's already applied for your new stroke and use it to rotate it 45 degrees. Click OK to apply this change and then add a new fill for your shape using this same button. Replace the pattern with a radial gradient. Go to Effect, Path and Offset Path. Set the offset to -11 pixels. Click OK. Lower the opacity of this new fill to 25%. Use the gradient tool to adjust the gradient somewhat like this. And then focus on the gradient panel to adjust the applied gradient. First of all, you can click this button to quickly reverse your gradient. Select this gradient slider and lower the opacity to 0%. And then double click this gradient slider, change the color mode to RGB and replace the color with 255, 161 and 110. Press the V hotkey to quickly switch to the selection tool. Select this fill and duplicate it. Open this offset path effect and set it to -7 pixels. Double click this gradient color and replace it with 105, 73 and 50. Reselect the gradient tool from your toolbar and use it to adjust your gradient somewhat like this. Press again the V hotkey to reselect the selection tool. Select your top fill and add a new stroke on top of it. Keep it selected. Replace this color with 252, 242 and 183. Lower the opacity of the stroke to 40% and change the blending mode to screen. Decrease the stroke weight to 0.75. Make sure that the round cap and round join buttons are checked. And then go to Effect, Distort and Transform and Zigzag. Set the size to 8 pixels and the number of ridges to 100. Make sure that these two boxes are checked and then you can click OK to apply this first effect. Reselect your stroke and go again to Effect, Distort and Transform and this time select Transform. Just increase both scale values to 100 and 1%. Click OK to apply this new effect. And then press Ctrl and 0 to zoom back on your entire design. Select this group of shapes that you used to create the pattern and press Ctrl+ to zoom back on them. Deselect these shapes and hold down the Shift key to select just these 5 shapes. Focus on the gradient panel and let's adjust the applied gradient. Double click this color and replace it with 182, 148 and 121. Move to the next one and enter 242, 218 and 192. And for this one, let's enter 197, 164 and 133. Move to the next 5 shapes, select them and focus on the gradient panel. Start with this one and replace the color with 208, 176 and 151. Move to the middle one and replace the color with 254, 233 and 212. And for the left one, let's enter 218, 196 and 182. Now you need to select all of these shapes and drag them again inside the swatches panel to save them as a second pattern. And then switch to the line tool to create a vertical path. All you have to do is click on your artboard and set the length to 4 pixels and the angle to 90 degrees, which will make your line vertical. Click OK to create this new path. Select the stroke and set the color to black. Keep the weight set to 1 point and remember to check this round cap button. Go to Object, Transform and Rotate. Set the angle to 45 degrees and click OK to rotate your path. Go again to Object, Transform and Rotate. This time set the angle to 90 degrees and click this copy button, which will add a horizontally flipped copy of your path. Use the selection tool to select both of these paths and focus on the brushes panel. First of all, open the flyer menu and go to select all unused to select all your unused brushes and delete them. Click this button to save your selected shapes as a pattern brush. Increase the spacing to 20%. Keep most of the settings as they come. Change the colorization method to tints, which will allow you to change the color of the brush after you apply it. Click OK to save your brush inside the brushes panel. And now you can press Ctrl and 0 to zoom back on your entire artboard and Ctrl plus a few times to zoom back on your main shape. For the final steps, you'll need this pen tool icon, so let's download this file. Open it in Illustrator and select both of these shapes. Press Ctrl and C to copy them. You can now close this document and return to your original design. Press Ctrl and V to paste the icon and rotate it like this. Go to Object, Transform and Reset Bounding Box to reset the bounding box surrounding your icon. Increase the width to 55 pixels. Switch to the Direct Selection tool. Focus on the control panel and set the corner's radius to 1 pixel. Now press the D hotkey, which will replace the current appearance settings with the default ones. Select the fill and add 2 copies. Select the top one. Replace the color with 251, 176 and 64. Remember to lower the opacity of this fill to 35%. And then select the middle fill and apply your second pattern. Move to the bottom one. For this one, set the color to 134, 115 and 100. Go to Effect, Path and Offset Path. Set the offset to 3 pixels and click OK. And then select the stroke. Apply your pattern brush and replace the color with 253, 245 and 198. And keep in mind that you can easily adjust the size of the brush using the stroke weight. For the final touch, you can select your entire design and use the Recolor artwork feature to easily recolor your entire design. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. Remember to hit that like button as it helps me know that I did a good job. Subscribe if you aren't already, and don't forget to click that little bell icon to be notified of any new tutorials. I'm Andre Marius, and I'll see you in the next video.